everyone, Katie Walsh here. I told you I would go live and kind of talk on the subject of my day yesterday, stress eating, and things that you can do to stop yourself, things that you can do to realize that you don't have to be eating to be, to recover from a stressful event or a stressful time or things like that. My day yesterday was interesting. On Saturday night, which was the night before last, I was coming home from work. My boyfriend was going to move yesterday with his dad and our friend, and I was going to be at work. So he was moving all like the big stuff and doing all these things, and I felt like really bad because I wasn't going to be there. I wasn't going to help him, really move everything, and he was doing so much for it. So when I was coming home from work, I was like, okay, I'm excited. I'm gonna, really just show him some love and be there for him and make sure that he knows that I'm grateful and thankful that he's doing this. Well, I got home all excited to give him some love, and there he was, really stressed out. We got in kind of an argument and a fight, and things weren't great. So I helped him move. I helped him move little things that night. I had to do a lot of other things as far as work goes. So by the time I got to bed, it was around midnight. I went to bed not in a great place, not very happy. And when I woke up after a couple of hours of sleep and having to do my third 12-hour shift yesterday, I was so tired. I was miserable. My mood was really bad. I was trying to kind of come out of it. And normally I can do that. I was trying to do positive affirmations, telling myself it's going to be a great day. And, things, you shouldn't be stressed or feeling this way because you shouldn't live your life like that. So I kept trying to get myself up and, everything, but I was just in an awful mood yesterday. So I came to work, and the first thing I do if I am stressed or have these kind of emotions where I feel really bad or something like that, I want to eat, and I want to eat sweets. And this is how I've always been. I've had to continually work on this to really develop some good habits to not emotionally eat with stress or any kind of emotion. But when you're in that moment, it is so hard to step back and realize what you're doing. Realize that you are using food to numb what your stressor is or what kind of emotion you're doing. So it's really hard to get out of that moment. And for a long time, for 28 years of my life, 29, almost 30 years of my life, I could not stop. I could not get out of that moment where I needed something. And I'm sure some people can relate to this, that moment where you're just like zoned out, nothing else matters except for eating that chocolate. And that's how it is. That's how it is for me. Yesterday when I went to work, I went to the unit I was supposed to work on. The day before they had donuts. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can have chocolate, or there'll be something there. There's always something there. If you're a nurse, you get me. Every unit, every floor I work on, there is always something there. So I got to the unit and I looked in the break room and I was like, I'm going to find something really good. Nothing was there. And I was like, well, great. So obviously I don't have anything. So I'm like, I'm going to go get a report. I was already kind of in a bad mood. And especially now that I didn't have chocolate, and it was literally, I was getting a report, doing my writing, this, and that. And all I could focus on was chocolate. And it's 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. And I, got my report. I started, taking care of my patients. And I went to the bathroom and, I just met my patients. It wasn't anything. And I went to the bathroom and I was like, I still had that crave for chocolate. That's all I was thinking about. It was like zone. So I go to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror. I went to the bathroom. I looked in the mirror and I realized, I was like, what am I doing? And I really had to take a step back. And finally I was like out of that zone. It was really kind of different. And I'm sure the people that deal with these emotional eatings and stress eating understand this. So I was kind of out of my zone, and I'm going to give you kind of some tools. If this is something that affects you guys, these are some tools of what I did. And this is what I do when I do have these stressful eating times. It would have been really, really challenging to resist a donut or a cookie or whatnot that might have been in that break room. But luckily it wasn't there, and I could have definitely looked for it otherwise. When you're in that zone, that's all that matters. So I could have been like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to go outside to get something, and I could have went down to the cafeteria. I could have gotten some chocolate at some point, and that's what I would have done originally. That's what I would have done all the 30 years of my life until I started working on myself. So these are some of the things. I have 6 tips that you can do when this is something that happens to you. If you feel like you can't stop yourself or the urge is coming. The first thing that I do is to sit in silence. I went to the bathroom. That wasn't my original idea to do that, but luckily I was in a silent place, and I just sat in silence and just, zoned out for a minute, because you, when you're in that mind state, you're thinking of the future, like, I want this chocolate, or I want this, and that's all that's stopping you. You're just zoned. So if you think just for a second, sit in silence, and then you start thinking of the present time and kind of start really understanding what is going on and getting out of that futuristic zone and that stressor zone, and you really can kind of calm down. I started to breathe, and I started to really realize, like, wow, okay, I'm coming out of that zone. And that's when I started coming out of the zone. 2, I not sat in silence, that was 1. Number 2, I remembered my why. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to use food as a reason for a reason to numb me for this stress. For the past, the first, like I said, 28 years of my life, I used that, and it got me in a really bad place of depression and anxiety. It got me into over 265 pounds when I couldn't do a lot of things. I was 100 pounds heavier than I am. I, always used food to numb myself, and that's not how I want to go about it. That's not what I want to do. So there's so many reasons why that I don't want to do this, but if they're powerful, if you have a powerful why to why you don't want to use food to numb yourself, that is a really great way to start. If you have a powerful why, it can be super powerful, and it can stop you in your tracks. So that's number 2. Number 3 is just kind of visualize. I maybe not thought in like kumbaya, which you can do. You can sit in silence and meditate, but I didn't have that opportunity. So what I did was I visualized what will happen if I ate that 1 piece of chocolate. Because this is what happens when I eat 1 piece of chocolate at work. I eat that 1 piece of chocolate, and it's not done after that. I will still be in that zone and focused on sugar, because I have a sugar addiction. I would have been thinking in that sugar zone all day. And what that would have done is progressively more and more sugar until I'm so bloated and sick that I can't progress or do anything. I can't zone, and I don't want to be in that zone because I have a job to do. I have a really passionate job that I care about, and that's another big, huge reason why I don't want to be bloated, tired, sick all day when I have a really important duty to do for 13 hours. That's huge. And just, I visualize that I get bloated, that I get constipated, that I am miserable, and that I'm not focused. I mean, that in itself, I've had so many days where I've worked a 13-hour shift that I know what it feels like. I know that I'm going to continually going back to the break room, and that's going to be my thoughts of the day. I'm going to be wanting to get more and more from the break room or wherever else, and then I'm going to have no energy. I'm going to be tired, fatigued, I'm going to be exhausted, and I'm not going to be performing my job effectively. So huge thing for me to visualize what's going on. And I always think in the back of my head, number 4, you're stronger than this. That's really powerful to me. I'm stronger than this thing, that kind of cloud that I have over me this morning. I have done so much, and I've accomplished so much, that I know that I'm stronger than this. I know that I can get through this. I know that food does not define me. It's not something that needs to carry over all day and be focused on. So that's huge. Number 5, consistency. You got to be consistent. You got to start somewhere, and you got to be consistent, because the more that you do this, so like yesterday, this scenario that happened, I've had this before. I've done this before. I know what to do. I follow these steps, and every time you overcome one of these challenges, you can kind of understand and really remember what it felt like to overcome those challenges. You can remember how to do this. You can remember, you've been in this place before, you know what to do. And the more that you are consistent, the more that you stay on top of it, the more that you continually to work on it, whether it's, you know, doing it as a practice like I'm telling you in these steps, or working on it through books, through meditation. Personal development books are huge with emotional eating and stress eating and things. So being consistent and really staying on top of this and really making sure it's a priority to really understand it. And number 6, my last tip, is don't beat yourself up. There's times where I have given in, and I don't know if you understand the, you know, kind of emotions that you get if you kind of give yourself in. You can feel really guilty, you can feel resentment, you can feel lack of self-confidence, depressed, just not feeling good about yourself. You're like, I can't believe I did this to myself. And just feeling completely guilty for it and not feeling good. And that is just a vicious cycle, right? You go back into it, and then that carries on into your night. Just like the night before, you're not in a good mood. That carries on into your sleep patterns. That carries on into your day for the next day. And then the next day you wake up and you say, well, you're already in this negative mindset, this bad mood, this guilty feeling that you are like, okay, well, I've already messed up. I might as well do it again. Or, you know, when you get to that point again, when you get to that time where you're feeling the stress and you want to eat again, because it's something that happens. You feel guilty, and it's like a vicious cycle. So try not to beat yourself up over it. Really think of where you can go forward in it. Just don't beat yourself up. It's just a huge thing, and just always stay positive and try to really push through it and work through it and always be consistent. So what did I do after this? I went home, I helped my boyfriend, we went to sleep late. I woke up kind of a little bit later today than usual, and I felt really good about it. You know, I feel good that, you know, I overcome these barriers, and it was huge for me to overcome these barriers. So when I got home, I helped my boyfriend move. We went out to eat, and I had a little guacamole, and I treated myself a little bit, which is kind of my Sunday night treat. I have one once a week, and I was very mindful of it, and I felt really good about it. And it was amazing. So, you know, just continually working on it and really following these guidelines that I've kind of given you. Of course, I'm not an expert. This is just something that I deal with and I've dealt with for a long time as far as emotional eating. You know, it controlled my life for over 28 years. And it's something that I continually work on. But with these steps, it's almost a never fail for me anymore. As long as you're consistent and as long as you're trying to keep a really good mindset, a positive mindset, and try to stay in the present, nothing can really go wrong. So if you ever need anything or anything like that, please reach out to me. I would always love to help. Again, this is Katie Walsh. I'm doing a quest with the 100-pound journey, and I hope that this provided you with a lot of tips and it was very useful for you. I will see you guys later. Thanks. Bye-bye.